Hello, and welcome back to another episode of the Vulnerability Hangover. I am your host, Nikki, and Enzo, our emotional support pup, is out of frame right now, but just know he's right next to me. Today, we are going to be talking about my 2 years not drinking alcohol. But before we get into the episode, we are going to share the drink of the day, and the drink of the day is a Sprite vanilla. I think these are the limited edition ones. It's a vanilla frost. Not just vanilla, it's vanilla frost. These have been my sister and I's obsession, so let's crack it open. I'm gonna have to set my mic down real fast. We're drinking through a straw today. Let's take a sip with me. Okay, that was refreshing, but very bubbly. I love a Sprite. I love anything vanilla too. To start off this episode, of course, we got to bring in an affirmation. And today's affirmation is going to be make yourself a priority. That's the underlying theme for this episode as well. So, like I mentioned, today we're going to be talking about 2 years of me being alcohol free. If you guys watched my episode about being 1 year sober or 1 year alcohol free, I talk a little bit about my experience and how I've been treated and how I feel after being sober for a year. But I've now hit my 2 year mark, and let me just say, I almost drank this year, and I never thought that I would be drinking again. Thank God I didn't. I did not give in to the peer pressure, but I almost did. There was a situation where I was seeing this guy and he was drinking, and I felt kind of inclined to drink. He didn't pressure me into drinking, but I haven't felt like wanting to drink around someone in a while. So I'm glad that I didn't give in to those thoughts and picking up alcohol again, because I know I would regret it the next day, if not regret it immediately after. But yeah, 2 years sober, have not had a sip of alcohol. I guess I can't say I'm fully sober because, I like to do mushrooms every once in a while. I definitely felt a lot better not drinking. I don't even remember what it feels like to be drunk. All I know is that when I'm around drunk people, I don't enjoy it. I can't stand a drunk person now. I mentioned in my last episode that I've pretty much become a hermit and I don't really go out. One of the biggest reasons is because a lot of people drink. It is so normalized in society. And teach their own. If you drink, that's whatever. But for me, I just can't do it. And I don't like the effects of it. I do not want to age. Who wants to age? Alcohol speeds up the process. I also don't enjoy hangovers. I also don't enjoy the decisions that I've made when I'm drunk. So why would I drink? I have no problem going out and doing a microdose of mushrooms, but that's a different experience. I don't remember exactly what I said in my 1 year alcohol-free episode, but one of the biggest reasons why I decided to give up alcohol was because one night I was at a friend's house and there was a situation where someone slipped me a little something in my drink. I knew that it happened pretty much right after because I tasted it and they had dropped hints like, I want to loosen you up a little bit. Let's put some Molly in your drink. And after that, I obviously left the party. Being drugged is one of the worst experiences ever. I guess you could call this being roofied. I don't know exactly if it's being roofied because it was Molly, but it was a terrible experience. The next day, I had the worst anxiety I have ever had in my life. It was crippling. I was like, do I need a 5150 myself? I laid in bed all fucking day with Enzo. I couldn't get up. I couldn't do anything. It was the worst anxiety I've ever experienced in my life. And after that experience, when I did try to drink, the next day I would just have terrible, terrible anxiety. And so, March 3rd, 2022, I decided I was done. I'm no longer going to be drinking. And here we are 2 years later. I'm still not drinking. Don't get me wrong, there were still fun experiences that I had when I was under the influence of alcohol. But for the most part, I made bad decisions. I also would take money from guys at the bar if they gave me money to go buy drinks and I would leave. I would give out fake names. I would pretend to be someone that I wasn't. I was a little tequila terrorist. That's what I like to say because I used to drink tequila or I would drink rum, but tequila mainly. I would just make stupid decisions. I would be the center of attention, the life of the party. I do kind of miss going out. I just wish more people were sober. It's really hard to find people who don't drink alcohol. Like, I do have friends that don't drink around me, or they're sober-ish, or they just like smoke weed, but I don't have someone that's like completely sober. So it makes it really difficult. Not only that, it does make it very difficult to date people as well. I can't tell you how many guys have been like, let's go out for a drink. And I'm just like, I actually don't drink. And then they always assume you had a problem. And it's like, no, not necessarily. People get really weird about it. People who drink get more uncomfortable at the fact that I don't drink rather than me feeling uncomfortable that they're drinking. I don't feel uncomfortable when other people are drinking just as long as they're not doing anything to harm me or being crazy or picking fights. As long as people aren't doing that, I have no problem with it. I feel like a lot of times they think that I'm judging them, but I'm not. I can get a mocktail. Would that make you feel more comfortable? I don't know. I have to accept that I'm narrowing down my dating pool even more by only wanting to date someone who is sober, or at least California sober. I'm not a huge fan of guys that smoke weed, especially if it's a daily thing that consumes their life and makes them unproductive. But I've dated stoners in the past. Actually, I've dated stoners in the past, now that I'm thinking of it, who are always fucking high, can't function without substance. I know it's not their fault. Addiction's very hard, but I have only really been with addicts. Like, there's no in between of being able to not do substances when we go out. I've dated a lot of guys that smoke weed all the time, and honestly, it's really fucking annoying. And I feel like a lot of times marijuana makes you a pretty unproductive person, in my experience. I also don't smoke weed because I get super bad anxiety. To each their own, I guess. But I've never dated a guy that's just like, I do it every once in a while or I do it before bed. Like, that would be fine for me, but I've never been with someone who wasn't addicted to weed. And yes, I believe that you can be addicted to weed. You can get addicted to anything, honestly. Like, I have a sugar addiction, I have a caffeine addiction. And I know I said on my last episode that I cut out caffeine. I'm not gonna lie, I've had caffeine for a week straight now. Yeah, I'm back on it. It's really hard to quit. It's really hard to quit sugar too. I love candy. I love cookies. I love brownies. Anything that is sugar, I love it. Give me that red dye 40. I love fruit gushers. The strawberry ones, so good. Sour punch straws, so fucking good. Any sour candy, I'm a huge fan. Oh, chocolate too. I love chocolate, but it makes me break out really bad. I can only have it every once in a while. Cake too. I do enjoy cake, especially if it's like a fruit cake. For my birthday, I had a strawberry shortcake and it was amazing. It was from Whole Foods. They also have a berry chantilly cake there. It went viral on TikTok for a moment, and I could see why. It is so good, but you have to eat it pretty quickly or just get a slice of it because the fruit does ferment pretty quickly and you don't want to have to deal with that. It's gross. RFK, I'm his worst nightmare. Let me just say that. But anyways, let's move on to the biggest changes that I've had since being alcohol free. Physically, I feel so much better. I have a lot clearer skin. I have more energy. I can sleep a lot better. I don't have to take something to go to sleep. I used to have a really hard time sleeping, especially after a night of drinking, my aura ring would just tell me, what the hell happened? What was the altered state you were in last night? And it was obviously alcohol on a weekend. I also have clearer thoughts and better emotional regulation. Your gut health is so linked to your mental health. My gut was destroyed by alcohol, especially after I got out of a relationship. I reignited my party phase. Now that I don't drink, I feel a lot better all around. When you drink alcohol, everything gets affected. Your skin gets affected, you're more puffy, you don't have clear thoughts, you're very foggy, you honestly don't have a lot of confidence either. Alcohol affects everything because it's a depressant. Ever since I've been on this health kick and really focusing on my mental health, my life has done honestly a 180. I'm sure you guys can tell my last episode, listening back to it and then listening back to previous episodes, I notice a huge difference in my personality. I'm way more confident. And I'm not trying to necessarily attribute everything to being alcohol free, but it is a huge contributor. I had no idea how much alcohol affected my life and shitty people affected my life. And when you cut alcohol out, you cut out a lot of people in your life. Because not everyone wants to be around someone who's sober, because we're not fun. But, newsflash, you're actually really fucking annoying when you drink. Most of you, at least. Some of you are funny, but it's usually because you're making a fool of yourself. The reason my confidence has shot up so much, too, is having to do things without alcohol. I don't need it to loosen up. I just have to grin and bear it and go for it. I'm able to go out in social situations and not drink alcohol. That has forced me to really get out of my comfort zone because a lot of people do this, and I've been guilty of it. We will drink before a date, or we will drink before we go out just to loosen up. Not drinking alcohol and not being able to take anything to loosen myself up has really gotten me to be authentically confident. So I really love that. Even though I'm back on the caffeine kick, I did cut it out for a significant amount of time. I thought that it was causing me anxiety. Little did I know that anxiety was just my intuition warning me about a man. But I noticed back in December that, which ironically is around the time that I was seeing someone, my anxiety was at an all-time high. And it was even when I would have things with a pretty low amount of caffeine. I had Celsiuses like every single day up until I got kidney stones. That also happened in December. I drink a lot of water throughout the day. That is not the reason why I got kidney stones. I genuinely believe that I got them because of having energy drinks every day. I'm not kidding you, guys. I had a Celsius a day. And that might not seem like a lot to heavy caffeine drinkers, but they are so bad for your kidneys. And let me just tell you, kidney stones are not fun. I thought my appendix was bursting. Let me actually tell the story about this. It was early December, and I remember I was on the phone, and I kept complaining. Oh, no. It started happening right before I went on a walk. I was like, dang, I kind of feel like I'm getting a UTI. I just remember going on that walk and the pain getting worse. It still kind of felt like a UTI, but it wasn't until I laid down where I started feeling severe pain on my right side. And that pain was like, I wouldn't say no other pain. I've had other terrible pains in my life. Going through an abortion was super painful. And having my pectoral muscles ripped off my chest was definitely very painful. But I would say a solid third was kidney stones. I do not wish that on my worst enemy. It's crazy how these little tiny things, mine were like 3 millimeters, those little tiny things can just be absolutely debilitating. I try and wait it out, but at 11 o'clock at night, I'm like, I cannot take this anymore. And I take my ass to the hospital. I don't tell anyone that I'm at the hospital. I think I texted my sister, but she was already getting ready for bed, and I was already on the way there. I sat in the lobby in excruciating pain from 11 o'clock till 3 in the morning. It was peak flu season. They were fully booked. They were understaffed. It was terrible. So on top of being in excruciating pain, I am a neglected patient. The first thing that they asked me where my pain was, and I was like, it's on my right side. I feel like it's my appendix. And they were like, okay, well, we also want to take a look at your ovaries. My family does have a history of ovarian cysts. And they were like, we want to get an ultrasound on that. And then we're going to do a CT scan to see what's going on with your appendix. And I'm now 27 years old. At the time, I was 26 because it wasn't that long ago. But they were like, people who are older don't normally have issues with their appendix. So it might be something different. They were fully like, it's not your appendix. But I didn't know any better. I was like, there's pain on my right side, and I know my appendix is on my right side. So they give me Dilaudid, which Dilaudid is a pain management that they put in your IV. It is the worst fucking pain management there is out there. I hate it. And fuck the nurses for giving me Dilaudid because it made me so goddamn nauseous. They gave me Zofran, and the Zofran was not enough. Now, let me tell you about this experience at this hospital. It was terrible. And I feel bad saying that because I know that they're going through it right now. They're so understaffed. Not a lot of people want to work in healthcare. They're just overworked, underpaid. I get it. I understand. But I did not have one designated doctor. And also in my chart, I do not like having male practitioners. It's just a preference. I've had a bad experience. I've talked about it in my abortion episode. That was one of my worst experiences. And I still had male doctors coming in because they were understaffed. And I was just like, God fuck damn it. So I'm laying in bed and they have to turn my bed around to do an ultrasound on me. And this big nurse, this big buff, I'm not kidding, probably almost 7 foot tall, beefy dude comes in and he's pulling all the wires and trying to move the bed around. And I know he's just trying to be efficient, but he yanks my IV. Oh my God. Also, my experience with the IV was not great either. This is why I have IV and blood draw trauma. The nurse that was putting my IV in was rolling my fucking vein around, trying to move the needle in. And I'm sorry if this is graphic. I should have put a warning before I started talking about this, but holy shit. I know it's not what you're supposed to do when you put an IV in. You're not supposed to be moving the vein around. I don't necessarily think I have rolling veins, but I know that my veins are really hard to find. And I was just like, can you just do it out of my hand? This is painful. And I was already starting to bruise. So having that guy yank on my IV after going through the trauma of getting the IV in, I was just like, are you fucking kidding me? On top of being in excruciating pain because the Dilaudid was not helping, and on top of being nauseous, it was just the 7 rings of hell, truly. So they turned me around, they give me the ultrasound, which the ultrasound was not unpainful either because they take this big dildo looking thing and they shove it up there and they take a look at your ovaries. They're moving this thing around up your vagina. I'm sorry, guys, I'm being so graphic. But they didn't find anything, luckily. No ovarian cysts. I'm very lucky that I don't have those. But I'm just like, okay, well, what is it? And then after she took the ultrasound out, I started to get that excruciating pain again. And I'm like, oh my God, can you guys please give me something else? And they're like, we can't because we gave you the max dosage that you could have for Dilaudid. And after begging them and begging them and begging them and sobbing, they finally gave me more Dilaudid. And I was so irritated. I had told them, can you guys not give me Dilaudid? Can you guys give me something else? They refused. And so my next move was I had to go into a CAT scan. And a CAT scan, the best way that I can describe it is like going through this vortex, this big machine that's super fucking loud. It's really anxiety inducing. And they give you this like liquid before you go in. And it's supposed to help them see. It lights up your inside somehow. I don't really understand how that works, and I'm probably explaining it incorrectly like I always do. I'm not a doctor. But I remember being rolled in, and when you're on pain management, your vision's kind of like all over the place, and the Zofran was not working. I was so nauseous. I got such bad motion sickness just from being moved around in a wheelchair from my room to the CAT scan. I was like, I can't move. I cannot get up. I feel so fucking nauseous. And the lady's like, well, you'll feel better when you lay down. And I was like, I'm going to throw up. And I had the massive, it looks like a fucking whale condom vomit bag next to me, and I'm just like, I'm going to throw up. I had to just lock in and lay down, and I did feel a little bit better. I think a part of the reason too why I was feeling nauseous, I hadn't eaten since 2 p.m. that day. I was going to sleep for dinner, and I was on this terrible pain management. Zofran had not kicked in, and then on top of that, I have to take this liquid light up bullshit to light up my inside so that they could see through the CAT scan. That concoction was terrible. Anyways, I go and sit through the CAT scan. You have to hold your breath. It moves you in and out. They're looking at my area, trying to see if there's something going on with my appendix. And it feels like I'm in that vortex for years. And in reality, it probably was only a couple minutes long. But I was still in pain. I was so nauseous. And it's scary because it's this big, loud machine. I don't like holding my breath. I know I'm fucking complaining, but it's my podcast. Anyways, so after I'm done, I get rolled back in with a different nurse. I had so many different nurses. It was actually insane. I had her roll me back in, and I'm just like, girl, I'm so nauseous. She was already so tired of my shit immediately. She must have been having a not very good night, and I totally get it. But I was like, I'm so nauseous. Can you guys please give me something? Please give me more Zofran. She's like, I'm sorry, we can't give it to you. And I'm like, I'm going to throw up. She goes, well, maybe just lay down. And when she's saying that, I throw up. And I have nothing to throw up, right? I just have liquids from my IV. I apologize for that graphic description. It was not a good time. So then I'm laying there and I keep begging them to give me something different for my pain. And finally, they get approval because they had to apparently get approval from my doctor. It took them like 6 hours. They approved me to get new pain medication. And I have a very high pain tolerance, by the way. So the fact that I was even begging for more pain management says a lot. And I do not like being under heavy doses of pain management. I don't like being drowsy, and also it makes you constipated. So, yeah, I've had my fair share of experiences with pain management. Not fun. I am going in and out of consciousness throughout the night into the morning. Like, I literally cannot keep my eyes open because of how much stuff they had to give me. And I don't remember a single thing. They come in and they're like, I'm sorry to say this, you have kidney stones. I'm getting notifications from my MyChart on my phone, and I'm just like, fuck. This is embarrassing. It's embarrassing because it sounds like I don't drink enough water, right? But anyone, I guess, can get kidney stones. And if you get kidney stones one time, you're more likely to get them more. So I really have to be careful about what I intake. I say as I have a fucking Sprite next to me and I'm drinking it. It was not a good time. I don't recommend having kidney stones. Do everything you can to avoid getting kidney stones, for fuck's sake. Anyway, so my mom gets there at like around 6 a.m. to help get me home. My mom had to be dropped off because I drove myself there. We were there until almost 11 o'clock, ready to be discharged, and I felt so bad. I was so out of it. I could not hold a conversation. My mom had to speak for me, and she didn't even really know what was going on. And I was just like annoyed trying to go home. And I know that she was too. So she just had to sit there while I'm going in and out of sleep consciousness. I get discharged finally at like 11 o'clock. I'm so fucking hungry. I don't even remember what I ate when I went home. I think it was like Chick-fil-A or something. And I scarfed that down. And I had to pee through a little sifter thing, like a sand sifter type thing, but for your pee. Again, sorry for being graphic. It came out. I saw it. It was like a little tiny pebble. They give you this medication to help disperse the kidney stone. The rest of it was like sandy. And I didn't have issues after that. Thank God. I don't even want you guys to imagine what the pain is like getting a kidney stone. And I know you can also get kidney stones from drinking alcohol. So there's that. There's your warning. Not that I'm trying to push you guys into not drinking alcohol, but something to consider. All right, now that I've went into detail about my kidney stone situation, I know that Celsiuses were the reason why I have kidney stones, so I've completely cut them out. I do drink coffee now and then, and I'll be honest, this past week I have had Dutch Bros Rebel drinks, so that's not good. I need to avoid them. Now, I don't have anyone in my life causing me anxiety, so I don't get really anxious when I drink caffeine now. I'm still gonna take it easy. I'm not gonna go full 300 milligrams of caffeine every day. I might have it every once in a while. I'm gonna circle back a little bit and talk about having a partner and why I don't want to have a partner that drinks. The main reason why I don't want a partner that drinks is because, like I said earlier, I almost got influenced to take a drink. Being around alcohol can be tempting, even though it's a choice that I don't want to do it. I generally don't like alcohol. I don't like the taste or anything. No drinking for me and my partner. Ideally, I would like to not drink alcohol. I know you're probably wondering, Nikki, how do you have fun sober? I'm glad you asked. I love making mocktails at home. I was making mocktail videos, but they were kind of corny. You can find them on my TikTok. I love making fun little drinks. I really do enjoy going out sober and actually being able to remember things so I can look back at my 20s and be like, oh yeah, I remember when we went and did this, and not have to have someone else explain my story. It also helps that I'm more present and I'm able to prioritize experiences rather than partying. And I have also found my people. I found friends who respect my decision not to drink and they don't judge me for it. My final thoughts on alcohol and being 2 years sober. Would I ever drink again? I don't like alcohol, don't like the taste, have no desire. Will I ever fully cut out caffeine? Probably not. I wish I could, but I have to have at least one vice, right? For those of you who are sober curious or who are already sober and are struggling, I want to let you guys know that it gets easier with time. And although it might weed out a lot of people that you're friends with now, you'll find your people and you'll be able to enjoy those experiences sober. You don't need alcohol or even caffeine to have fun. Trust me. But if you're really struggling with the whole social aspect, go and get yourself a mocktail. They're cheap, they're fun, and they're tasty. I highly recommend. Anyways, thank you guys so much for listening to this episode. I'm sorry I was all over the place and 90% of it was about kidney stones, but it is what it is. If you guys have any questions about being sober curious or really anything under the sun, I would love to hear it from you. Please make sure to like, rate, review, and subscribe wherever you listen to this podcast. And I will catch you guys in the next episode. Okay, love you, bye.